Now, for more on China's tourism industry and its travel trends, I'm joined by Yong Chen, live from Switzerland. He's Assistant Professor of Tourism and Hospitality Economics at École, hôtelière de Lausanne. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
So what changes are you seeing in terms of the sorts of trips and experiences that are popular with Chinese travelers?
Actually now Chinese travelers are starting traveling to Europe and North America. So to these long-haul destinations, that's a big change, and I think this trend will continue in the future. Because we know 10 or 20 years ago, Chinese people used to travel within Asia, like Southeastern Asian countries, especially these popular destinations in Hong Kong, Macau. So these nearby destinations. So now Chinese travelers can travel to Europe and even Africa. So this will be the trend in the pattern of the travel flows from China to overseas destinations.
Now, in terms of the countries that always tend to get the most Chinese travelers, is it the same year after year, or are you seeing more of a change in terms of what they're interested in and the experiences that they want?
Yes, I think a generation has been changed. So now, if you look at the mainstream Chinese travelers, actually these travelers are not anymore those people who are between their 40s and 50s. These people are the millennials. So I think the trend is to a large extent led by this new generation. And these people are not only interested in shopping, they also are interested in experiencing the holidays. So from my perspective, yeah, that the young generation would like to stay at the destination longer than before, than the previous generations, because their travel activities are more diversified.
And as we look at some of these changing generations, how are China's major hotels faring, especially now that you have the rise of these boutique hotels and also home sharing services?
Yes, that's a big change in recent years. That's what we call actually demand-driven, demand-driven supply. When the consumers, tourists are changing, so the supply has to change in order to respond to this change on the consumer side. So when it comes to the sharing economy, and maybe you have noticed that Airbnb entered China actually this year. One of the objectives is not only to accommodate travelers in the previous generations, but the young travelers. So that's why when they entered China, they did a public speech at a university, which is Fudan University. So actually the message was quite clear. The message was that Airbnb sharing economies is looking at the young generations because these people's needs are dramatically different from the needs of the previous generations. So I think from this perspective, the demand side is revolutionized in the Chinese market.
So with this new dynamic moving in then of more home sharing, things like Airbnb, what are some of the issues though that come with that industry?
So I think there is a fundamental difference between sharing economy as a accommodation and the traditional hotel industry. These differences can be about sharing, personalized services, and the socializations. And these actually attributes are not something traditional hotel industry can provide. When it comes to young generations, actually these young people need in their travel, because it's not only about you find a place and then you stay in that place for a few nights. It's about whether you are able to build your relationships during your travel, either with the host or with other friends from other places. So that's why in addition to Airbnb, other sharing economies, sharing accommodation services can be still very popular in the future in the Chinese market. That's one thing. On the second hand is that because sharing economy provides a lot of tools for people to simplify their transactions between the hosts, between the platform and the consumers. And that is also one thing that hotel industries might not be able to provide,
Right.
but that's the needs of these consumers.
Now, I do quickly want to get to the role of technology. We're seeing there's a lot of competition out there, different travel companies and websites. Just how much is technology really changing China's tourism and travel industry?
I think that technology has changed a lot. The hotel, tourism, travel, and the lodging industry. The first issue here is about information communication between travelers and all these different suppliers. And we know actually the industry is really fragmented, right? You have different suppliers which are located or separated in different locations. So in this regard, information communication between consumers and the suppliers is really, really critical. So that's why when the platforms where these suppliers are using can simplify the transaction, provide more information to consumers. So in this regard, the technology has changed a lot. So there are two aspects. Number one is the price. When you go to some destinations to book a hotel, you just type the keyword, and then you can find so many options which are sorted by the price. So for the consumers, it's very easy. Why? Because you can just pick the one you believe that provides the lowest price to you.
Well, certainly a lot of options there for travelers. Thank you so much. We'll have to leave it there. Yong Chen, Assistant Professor of Tourism and Hospitality Economics at École Hôtelière de Lausanne.